Hello and welcome to the EUIC 2026 Grand Final. We're actually already in the reset here, which means whoever wins this best of 5 is going to be the EUIC champion. We're going to have Colin6ix on the left side, who came from the winner's bracket but just lost the last best of 5 against P4TOM4N, who came from the loser's bracket but also got dropped down into the loser's bracket already in round 3, which means he's currently at this point of time in a 14-run win streak, which means he had 14 different matchups previously and won them all. And this is going to be such an interesting grand final. We're going to have two of the top players of EU going up against each other in a limited meta that has actually quite a few surprises. And one of the things that I actually predicted from literally the beginning of this meta when I tried out this meta for the first time for the GO Battle League is that Spidops isn't going to be as good as people think. And we see it here as well. No one is running Spidops. But there are other Pokemon that are going to be very common here. The teams are very similar, but let's take a look here as well at those competitors. Both of them are multiple regional champions. P4TOM4N has been in the last 4 international stage tournaments in the final with a world's finalist, LAIC champion and EUIC champion. This is kinda crazy. This is ridiculous. Like, this is a really like something that we haven't really seen at all. I think in LAIC he was most likely there, but literally, like here, last EUIC champion, world finalist, and LAIC champion were like the highest accomplishments here from P4TOM4N recently. But then we have Bologna champion, we're going to have the regional champion of Stuttgart, we have the regional champion of Lille, and of course Sao Paulo, LAIC top 8, and Colin6ix, two of the best players in the world right now. And this is going to be super interesting, because they faced off against each other already one time before, where P4TOM4N was able to win 3-1 in the set. But this doesn't mean that anybody has really an advantage here, because the meta that we're playing is currently the EUIC meta, which we saw already in the GO Battle League, which is very much neutral. There are a lot of Pokemon that don't really have direct counters, and we can start off directly into game number 1. One of those Pokemon that don't really have direct counters is going to be the Kingdra. And what's interesting as well is we have Beedrill as the most common current bug-type Pokemon available for this meta. And we're going to be able to see here the Swift immediately from Colin6ix trying to apply pressure against P4TOM4N's Beedrill here, which makes a lot of sense as Beedrill is not really known for its bulk. And now we basically see that very likely Colin is going to use a shield here, just not to risk that. Oh, never mind. We're going to see the Exeter coming through, knocking out that Kingdra straight away. That is an interesting play. But what we see on both competitor sides here basically is that there is going to be a Spiritomb on the team, and I expect that the Spiritomb is going to see quite a lot of daylight here today, which is not so common for a Dark-type Pokemon, because this Pokemon is amazing for this meta. Having access to Shadow Ball and Rock Tomb, you most of the times get either KO or Shield, and Rock Tomb of course has the option as well to drop the opponent's attack here. As we see the Mega Horn not landing against the Spiritomb, interesting there from P4TOM4N to go for that move, because now the Rock Tomb is coming in. It is going to force the shield from that, what's called the Cedra, is it? It's called Seaking, sorry. It's very difficult for me, by the way, because the name for this Pokemon itself is very different in German, and it's just something that's a bit difficult for me in my head there. But let's take a look here real quick at this next matchup. We see the Dunsparce getting some energy advantage, and we see the Light Swap out into that Spiritomb from P4TOM4N. P4TOM4N is going to be forced to go for a Rock Tomb in this matchup, while of course Colin6ix is going to spam the Drill Run, which is the strongest move on this Pokemon. Dunsparce is going to be able to get the first shield, which makes sense because P4TOM4N wants to debuff the Dunsparce before it gets another move off. A Rock Tomb is going to connect here, but this is looking very dire for Colin6ix. But does he have an ace up his sleeve? Because what we have here is still that Spiritomb on Colin6ix's side. We see the Drill Run, which kinda is slowly ticking down that switch clock. Could we see a swap out into that Spiritomb? That is the only way for Colin6ix to win this battle. And the Spiritomb is not available yet, but we see here another fast move coming through, and another fast move coming through, and the Spiritomb stops out, now has the Shadow Ball stored, knocking out the Spiritomb from P4TOM4N, leaving P4TOM4N now in a very difficult position because he doesn't have any energy anymore on his other Pokemon. We see the Beedrill coming in, gonna get farmed down, and now in comes again the Seaking as well, which is going to go down. And we see the first battle goes to Colin6ix. So let's take a look at the second. Starting off now with the second battle, we're going to see a fantastic lead actually for P4TOM4N. Why? Because we have with the Seaking a very interesting Pokemon, because it has a Peck as a fast move. Flying type Pokemon are not allowed in this meta at all, so having Pokemon with flying type coverage is kind of crucial in order to hit some Pokemon that are super effective, like this Beedrill. We see the immediate shield against the Icy Wind. Beedrill is running Bug Bite in this meta, doing tremendous amounts of damage, and we see the bait here from Colin6ix Colin6ix. Is P4TOM4N gonna fall for it? Let's find out. No, we gonna see the no shield onto the Fell Stinger. Not what Colin6ix wants to see here, but P4TOM4N is gonna swap out anyway. Then in comes the Licky from Colin, while we see the Beedrill from P4TOM4N. So 2x Shadow Beedrill here, which is kind of interesting that this is the dominating bug type Pokemon of this meta. Not too surprising, it looked actually really amazing with the Fell Stinger plus the bug bite damage is kind of crazy on this Pokemon. It's a Pokemon where you really want to use your shields on. Here we see again a shield coming up though onto the Exeter from the Beedrill. Great play by Colin6ix, but again we have here still on P4TOM4N the one extra shield available, which we might see coming out here as well, because Beedrill would be able to knock out that Licky then afterwards. So let's see what we see here. We're going to see a no shield actually coming through, kind of sacrificing the Beedrill, but Beedrill still is going to be able to reach that Exeter in time. Great composure as well from P4TOM4N here, getting even extra energy just in case, but this is going to be enough to knock out the opponent's Licky, and in comes now most likely the Dunsparce, I assume, from Colin. Well, let's find out if it's going to be actually the Dunsparce. It's not. It's going to be the Beedrill, just taking the one energy there, basically. And in comes the opponent's Spiritomb. This is looking really dire for Colin6ix now. First time, it doesn't really make too much sense to bait here, I feel like, because you don't regain a lot from it, unless you kind of want to still stay in for a little bit and try to get more damage in. But yeah, we don't see that here at all. I see the swap out straight away into Dunsparce, and that means as well that this is going to be kind of tough, as P4TOM4N has a ton of energy still on his Spiritomb. We're going to be in a very tough position for Colin6ix, as the Rock Tomb is going to drop the attack here, which means the Drill Run's not going to do a lot of damage, and you need to get to 3 Drill Runs basically in order to have a chance here of winning this battle. And I do think that even the Seeking is called, has some solid play still here. I do think that Seeking has a little bit of energy still. So we see the Charge Tomb coming in here, the Rock Tomb is coming through. This might not be enough to knock out the Dunsparce directly, as Dunsparce is a very bulky Pokemon, but let's see the Rock Tomb. It's not going to be enough, but yeah, now a Charge Tomb coming in. The Drill Run is going to knock out the Spiritomb, but we have a 1 HP Dunsparce against the Seeking, which is absolutely not going to work out too well here. Okay, Seeking has only a tiny bit of energy, but it doesn't really matter. As we see here now, the Beedrill is going to get knocked out, and we can move on to the next battle, as it's going to be a 1-on-1 between Colin6ix and P4TOM4N. The third battle is up now as well, and we will see as well that we're going to have the Beedrill up against the Spiritomb. We see the swap out here straight away from P4TOM4N into the Seeking, and there's no real good answer to Seeking in this current meta. There is really nothing that can take these hits directly. Seeking itself doesn't have any stab moves, but Mega Horn actually still chunks quite a bit. As we see the Fell Stinger coming through, which kind of suggests that maybe Colin6ix wants to try to realign himself in this matchup and just tries to boost itself up, which again, we didn't get the shield from P4TOM4N, which is crucial to be fair. This helps out quite a bit to P4TOM4N, but we see the full farm on happening here, and the Seeking goes down. In comes here the Spiritomb most likely, or we could also see the Milotic. Milotic is actually more of a surprise pick. I didn't really expect this Pokemon to do that well, but non-Shadow Milotic seems to be such a strong Pokemon after the Dragon Tail change, with Awkward Tail as well as Wrap on this Pokemon, especially in this limited meta. This Pokemon seems to be absolutely broken. Exodus coming in here. This is going to be interesting, as we now see the Dunsparce up against that Spiritomb, forcing Spiritomb to go for a Rock Tomb, but we see a Drill Run coming in first against P4TOM4N's Spiritomb. Do we see a shield here coming up because they want to debuff them first? No, we see the no shield. The Drill Run is looking like it's going to two-shot P4TOM4N's Spiritomb here as well, but there's still going to be this Milotic in the back. Spiritomb has a ton of energy for the late game, but we still have another normal type on Colin6ix side, which could be crucial here. Well, let's see. We're going to have the Drill Run coming in. This is going to do some solid damage, but not enough against the Milotic. And you could even stay in and take still another hit, because you're not in any range for the Dunsparce to get knocked out by the Milotic. And this is exactly what's going to happen here. Colin6ix is going to let the move go. I could see a swap out now into the Licky just to keep the energy here, but exactly this is going to happen. This makes a lot of sense. We see the Awkward Tail being caught now onto the Licky of Colin6ix. This is going to be the best possible play for Colin6ix. We have the Awkward Tail coming through, doing some solid damage, but like nowhere close to really getting this Pokemon anywhere near to any kind of KO range, as we will see as well the Wrap coming through, which is interesting. Wrap is going to guarantee drop Licky's defense stat here, which is going to help out for the late game. as the swap happens immediately here now into the Spiritomb. Rocktomb is coming in and we see the immediate no shield from Colin6ix, as we hope, I think that he still survives that. He does survive with 1 HP, but he goes for the body slam. Do we get the shield from P4TOM4N? Does he go for the shield here? We do see the shield against the body slam. That is crucial, as you're gonna see the support story where Drill Run is going to knock out the Spiritomb on P4TOM4N's side. This is such a back and forth, and this is why this meta is actually really cool for the EUIC. I really enjoyed the meta because there was so much play for everyone to play in. Like the games were never over immediately, and this is something that I just really enjoyed because we still at this point, I have no idea who's going to be able to win this battle. Like we're gonna see the Drill Run coming in. It's not going to be enough to knock out the Milotic, but I guess it looked kind of good for Colin6ix here, winning still, especially with the shields left. I didn't see the shield on Colin6ix's side. Makes sense now. We can move on to battle number 4. And this could be the all-deciding battle. If Colin6ix wins this battle, he's going to be able to be the EUIC champion here for 2026. We're going to have a very neutral lead matchup, which I do think it's kind of more in favor for Colin6ix because you have the spamminess of that Licky, but to be fair, it's very, very neutral. Like, at the end of the day, Earthquake is going to be better here after the body slam nerf a few seasons back. But it's going to do some solid damage, actually 2 shots at Dunsparce, which looks really cool. Spiritombs come in, and we're going to see the Drapion, which is actually looking really good for Colin6ix now, because here, Drapion's fast moves are going to be resisted, but are not really a main thing for it. But here we see for Spiritomb that the fast moves are resisted as well. We see the shield immediately onto the bait. Great bait from Colin6ix, going for the Awkward Tail here instead of going for the Crunch, keeping a bit more energy for the late game, as we see the shield coming up here for the Drapion against the Rocktomb. You're going to be able to outspeed the Spiritomb quite a bit, so we might even be able to get to 2 crunches before they can go for another charge move. It's going to be close. It looks like it's not going to be working out too much here, but you can go for a crunch and an Awkward Tail, which could be enough at this point to knock them out. We have the debuff though onto the Shadow Drapion, which could be, yeah, changing this battle quite a bit. We see the charge move coming in from the Spiritomb. Do we see a shield coming up again? Yes, we do. And so Colin6ix really wants to keep his Drapion around, as we see a swap out though directly into the Spiritomb. There's still a shield remaining on P4TOM4N's side. I feel like it would have been making more sense even to kind of get rid of the Spiritomb early, because Spiritomb with energy up, especially which we see here now on P4TOM4N's side, is such a nightmare to deal with. It is one of the strongest Pokemon in this meta, and this is why this Pokemon is basically everywhere. It's just, if this thing has energy and if you play it right, which of course a player like P4TOM4N does, it can be very, very scary late game. So here we're gonna see the wrap coming through from Milotic. It's going to drop, of course, the defense of Dunsparce, trying to put them into range for just a 1 Awkward Tail, as this is going to be now a Drill Run landing against Milotic, doing some solid damage, not even close to being enough to knock them out. But we see here as well the Awkward Tail very likely on the CMP type, but we see the swap out perfectly from Colin6ix, keeping the energy onto that Dunsparce. This could be really crucial for the late game. Awkward Tail is not doing as much damage here, and in comes the Spiritomb, but this is what I was talking about. Spiritomb can be quite a pain to deal with when this Pokemon has still energy late game, and this is what is happening now. Rocktomb is coming in, debuffing that Licky. Can you go for the full rollout down? It's going to be close now. It's going to be very close. You're just going to be barely able to survive it. We see very likely the Earthquake coming through straight away because he cannot take another hit anyway. It's going to be the Body Slam. Okay, that makes sense if you can land this move and it's going to knock out the Milotic. This looks really good for Colin6ix now. Is Colin6ix going to be able to take this home? It's not going to be enough to... Oh no, it's going to be enough to knock it out. And we see now the Dunsparce with a bit more HP left. The double body slam was really, really smart by Colin6ix, actually being able to get off another move here. The Dunsparce is very low, but here's the thing. P4TOM4N still has a shield left, and Dunsparce should be able to mostly knock out both of the remaining Pokemon. Crunch is going to come through first. This has also a 20% chance to drop the defense of P4TOM4N's Dunsparce here. The Crunch is going to now get shielded up, and in comes the Drill Run, knocking out straight away. I think there's another Drill Run stored on to P4TOM4N's Dunsparce here, but we have another Dunsparce on Colin's side. Let's see if this is going to work out. We have here Drill on both sides, and it's going to lose the CMP tie here. No Crunch debuff as well means if Colin6ix survives this move here, most likely P4TOM4N does as well, because it looks like it's the exact same HP. 1 HP survival for Colin6ix. The debuff would have guaranteed won you the battle here. Well, let's take a look if this is still going to be enough. The Drill is going to come through, barely survives. Can it hang on to one more rollout? It's going to be super close, and P4TOM4N wins this by 1 HP. And now we're entering the decisive last battle. We're going to have here the Drapion against the Seeking on P4TOM4N's side. We have here the Crunch coming in straight away, getting the shield immediately. Seeking can go for the Mega Horn to one-shot the Drapion, or can go for the Iceon to debuff them and kind of try to whittle them over the long period of time there. But we see here that we have the Charge Move coming in straight away from P4TOM4N, getting as much energy as possible before throwing the Icy Wind. The Icy Wind is coming in here now, getting the shield though, which is kind of crucial because now Crunch is definitely not going to be enough to knock you out anymore. Tries to catch the Mega Horn and can catch the Mega Horn onto the Dunsparce, but this is still going to do a lot of damage. I'm not too sure if this was the right play here, but again, Drapion in this meta actually has so much potential in the late game. We see it here as well. There's no resistance to Crunch on any of the Pokemon of P4TOM4N, so this can still come in clutch as well. We're going to have your Charge Move coming in. The Drill Run is going to be caught on Milotic on the P4TOM4N side, of course, doing a little bit less damage than what I would have done on Seeking. As well, Seeking can keep some energy for late game. This is where P4TOM4N really excels, keeping Pokemon with energy alive. This is where you can kind of learn from the masters of this game. This is where you can win more battles, keeping your Pokemon with energy alive, trying to get yourself into positions where you can catch moves on bulkier Pokemon, like we've seen here with the Milotic. The Awkward Tail is coming in now. This is going to be enough to knock out the Dunsparce, and I don't expect a shield coming up here at all because we still have another Charge Move down on Milotic. The Dunsparce goes down, and in comes now the Drapion, going for the Crunch immediately, trying to get rid of the energy or the final shield on P4TOM4N's side, but the energy goes down from the Milotic. This is fine. The Crunch is going to knock out the Milotic, and now it's still going to be the Seeking with energy, as well as the Spiritomb on both sides. And this is looking so promising for P4TOM4N at this point, because you have that energy advantage on the Seeking, which changes everything. You have to hope here that he can go for the full Fountain with the Spiritomb, but he cannot. The Seeking survives with just a few HP left. One more Fast Move would have been needed, but this is going to be now a lot of damage coming through. Can you still reach a Shadow Ball against the opponent's Spiritomb? This is going to be crucial here. Shadow Ball is going to come through as well. This game is not over yet, but it's looking very promising for P4TOM4N as he can shield up this move. Can we still see the win here with the Drapion? Drapion needs to go for at least a Crunch and an Awkward Tail in order to knock out the Spiritomb at this point, but it can only get to 2 Awkward Tails. This is not going to work out for Colin6ix, because also Spiritomb is going to win CMP tie against Drapion in this position, and so it is again P4TOM4N winning back-to-back EUIC championships. This player is honestly by far at the current time the best player in the world. I have no idea who can stop him, and there is something more to his story right now as well, because he just broke a record. He broke a record for the most consecutive wins in a row in a Pokemon GO tournament. This was the biggest tournament ever, but also P4TOM4N was dropped down in the first bit already into the loser's bracket, which means if we're gonna take a look just at P4TOM4N's record here, he had to fight all the way from the beginning. Here we're gonna go into the group stage where P4TOM4N got knocked out super early. Here we see it as well. He got knocked out in round 3. Dropping all the way down now into the loser's bracket. Had to fight all the way through here. We see him here all the way through, winning every single matchup in this bracket, which is crazy, to then win everything at the end. So this kind of showcases as well, even if you lose early, you can go all the way. And thanks so much for watching. This was an insane finals. Hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you then. Bye bye.